Hey everyone, it's me, Mambo Odette. And those of you who follow the world news, you may have heard of a boxer. I think he lives in Europe, but he was in Africa, and he was injured in a car accident. An athlete, and two of the other team members were killed. And his name is Anthony Joshua. If you want to look up the story, but the point of that I bring this to you is when you go into countries like in Africa or in Haiti, you will deal with a level of disorganization that you have never dealt with, including driving. Including driving. I'm gonna tell you this. One time I had a car accident in Port-au-Prince on the road where Bourbourg and Levallois is, and it's a Carrefour right there, and there's a little police station that sits right there. And usually because the traffic always jam up at this point, that they have an officer stand in the road to direct the traffic. Well, the traffic was inching, and people will just try to jump in front of you, whatever. And there was this guy with this raggedy ass vehicle, and he was trying to go around everybody, inching in, driving in the opposite direction toward the oncoming track, inching. And when it got up to me, I was bumper to bumper with the car in front of me, and he put his truck like to so that I would have to let him in, and I didn't want to let him in. It was just that day, just that type of day. I didn't want to let him in, and of course, I hit his car. And I didn't realize that there were two officers because they weren't directing the traffic as bad as it was. They were standing to the side by the police station. And so he starts yelling, and one of the officers come over, and he's blaming me. And so the officer says, "Whose fault is it?" And I said, "It's Haiti's fault. You ain't got no stoplight. You ain't got no stop signs. You ain't got no dividers in the road. People going in on. It's Haiti's fault. You're an unorganized country." And so he laughed, and he said, "You're uh, so and so's wife. I don't want to say his name because it's a very unique name." And in his office at the time, my husband's office was right up the street, and they would often call him to that police station because they would have people in jail who wanted to speak to a lawyer. And so he said, "Oh, you're okay, relax, you're okay." And because I was right down the street too from his office. And so the guy is trying to demand money, but machine crase. I'm thinking, your stuff was broke when you bought it. And the officer's just waving his hand like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. And people in Haiti, they remember you because I don't recognize his face. I never took any notice of this particular man. But people in Haiti, and I just took a shower, so you'll see my dreadlocks hold water, they'll drip a little bit, but um they remember you. They remember you even if they just saw you one or two times. They remember you. Okay? And when they come to you, they may say, "Oh, aren't you madam?" and call your husband's name. "Aren't you madam so and so?" Or whatever. You understand? They know you. So this guy didn't know, you know, who knows who or whatever, and he just wants it. But that was his problem, and I left him there. Left him there. So then the other guy starts directing the traffic, and I went on down to my husband's office. But the point is, the country is so unorganized. And you'll see a lot of African countries, and I don't want to call them like developing countries because a lot of them are more, and the city is more modern than where I live in Delaware in the U.S. They're very modern. They look like cities. But you have to remember that it's a mindset, and a lot of that was built by The colonial under colonialism it was built. You understand, by the colonial leaders, but their mindset is still the same, and they drive super stupid, super fast. Some I don't mean all, some on the regular. No stop signs in Haiti. No stoplights. Very rare. I think they have one in Port-au-Prince by the airport, and usually it's not working usually, and they usually have an officer out there directing the traffic too. And in OCAP, I haven't seen a damn working stoplight. Not one. Not one. Stop sign, no. You get to an intersection, honey, some people don't even stop and look if something's coming. They just keep on rolling. Like their cars ain't got no brakes. And sometimes they don't. And they just use their horn as the brake. Like, blow the horn and keep on. When you go into countries that are still developing, be careful who you get in a car with. Be careful who's driving. This is why I take a driver up in OCAP. Now I know OCAP. I know OCAP. I know Limonard. I probably could drive myself. But if you don't know, and people, let me tell you, one time I was in the airport. This was during the Biden program, when Spirit Airlines was still flying. And this young lady had a child, and she had her Biden papers in her hand, because we could recognize them T. Bidens because they had to have a dossier with certain information in it. You understand? And she just jumping in front of me when we're going through security. And I said to her, when you get to the U.S., see if you do that. Or you see if we don't have organization in that country. Because, in the U.S., from preschool, you're taught to stand in line, walk in a line, wait your turn. There's organization. But when you go into countries where they have that mindset, they will just jump right in front of you, or there will be no line, or it'll just be one big group pushing and And I'm very sorry that this happened to Anthony. And I'm very sorry for the two people who lost their life. But when you go and when you're coming from Europe, and then you go into developing countries, and I don't mean developing by their infrastructure, even though sometimes that be real rough too, but by the mindset, be careful. Because it can be your life. His career might be over, depending on how bad he was injured. It only takes one injury for athletes to lose their career. I'm on board with that.